us some crunchy business here, and I'm happy to welcome Michael Mari and Umtunzi. My name is Mamelodi Sundowns. Welcome to the Football Corner as we're about to break down the breaking news of the summer in South Africa, where Mamelodi Sundowns, they one of the best teams in Africa, and arguably the best team in South Africa by far, given the fact that they've dominated the scene for the last 10 years. So, yeah, welcome, gentlemen. How are you doing?
I am doing okay, Sam Kelo, yourself.
No, I'm excited actually. This speaking about football excites me more than anything. Mtunzi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Jens? How are you? Mike?
No, everything is great here. Hey, Michael, hey man, we had your call and we answered. By stroke of luck, we stumbled upon a situation here, and there is no way we can't begin from it. Yes, we have a lot to talk about Mamelodi Sundowns, but to everyone who's watching, just we are about to embark on a journey here. We're about to talk about Mamelodi Sundowns, everything about Mamelodi Sundowns, talking about their management, from inside their management. To their squad depth, academy and facilities, all those other things, technical team, we will talk about them. But before we get to them, there's big breaking news. And I think it was the first episode when we were covering the DSTV, not the MTN 8. We talked about the situation whereby Mamelodi Sundowns appointed Manqoba Mnqithi as the head coach of Mamelodi Sundowns after the sacking of Coach Rulani. We had a situation, we talked about it, and our main point was that I believe that we believe that Mamelodi Sundowns wanted to look in control of the situation. They were looking for a big name coach, because looking at the Club World Cup and all those other things, the CAF competitions, we did believe that Manqoba Mnqithi wasn't up for that challenge. But Mamelodi Sundowns did their business very well. And the breaking news is they came as a surprise that they came now, but it was no surprise given the fact that after the sacking of Coach Rulani, they didn't want to destabilize a lot of things. They wanted to continue with what they had, and that's what happened. But today we have a situation that Manqoba Mnqithi has been sacked by Mamelodi Sundowns alongside with other of his technical team coaches, or the only people left are Sean, Coach Steve Kompela and Kennedy Bueni. Those are the only two left at Mamelodi Sundowns. After the obviously Coach Manqoba Mnqithi was sacked alongside two others from a team, Roman Flores, no Wendell Robinson. So yeah, that's the situation that we have on our hands, gentlemen. And I want us to maybe begin here with what did Manqoba Mnqithi do wrong, Michael, what led to him being relieved from his duties at Mamelodi Sundowns?
So I think what led to Manqoba Mnqithi be released from his duties as a head team of Sundowns, I think it's the playing style. So we know Sundowns as the giants of Shusha and Piano. I don't know if you are familiar with the style of play Shusha and Piano, whereby it's a philosophy whereby the team has to keep the ball, the team has to play ball position with purpose, and also, however, Manqoba Mnqithi came up with his own philosophy of he needs goals. It doesn't matter how goals are scored. So it's more like he was focused on scoring goals rather than how to score goals. Because we all know as individuals, in as much as coaching is there different styles, but there is a certain style that you have to follow for a club. So he works for Sundowns, not that Sundowns works for him. So the fact that Manqoba came with his own style of play that phased out the Shusha and Piano, that phased out the academy, that phased out the style of play, could he have played a role in him getting relieved of his duties? Because that is how it is. Like, the club wants an identity, the identity that he has been winning, and they want it to be followed.
And Mthunzi, maybe to kind of link this with the situation I was talking about that we initially discussed when we first had the news that Manqoba Mnqithi is going to be the new coach. Is what's happening now related to their initial plan? Obviously, maybe they wanted to give him a season, or it's because maybe of what Michael is saying now, the style of play and everything. Are those two things interlinked, or there was no plan to get rid of Manqoba at some point?
I think it's a bit of both actually. I think it's a mix of everything. I do believe that Michael is right about the style of play, but also I do believe that they were planning to eventually get rid of him at some point. As we know that their sporting director, he believes he has a clear vision. Mamelodi Sundowns has a clear vision of how they want to win, and also in their statement today, they said actually we want to win everything that we actually participate in, and having lost a final against Magesi, so maybe that could have played a hand there in sacking of Manqoba Mnqithi. But then I do believe that it eventually it was going to happen. Yes.
Yeah, because it did look like that. Like I said, I mentioned the Club World Cup, something big for Mamelodi Sundowns. So I think we can agree, Michael, when we can say the decision wasn't a harsh one on Manqoba.
For me, I kind of feel like it's a harsh decision in the sense that Manqoba has been there at Mamelodi Sundowns for quite some time, and obviously, as an inside man, as an inside individual, he was there the days when the club was winning. He was there when the club won the 7 premierships. He was there when the club won the Champions League. So he is someone who knows what makes the club successful and what doesn't make the club successful. So the it goes back to the dismissal of Coach Rulani. If they dismissed the Coach Rulani, then they gave Manqoba the driving seat. Why isn't it you give him the time that you for him to implement his style, for him to try whatever he's trying to make and to get it right? Because now if you focus on winning, like if you want to win every game, if you want to win every match, only greatest team can do that, and those greatest team were only managed by the great. So how about you just give him his time, let him build his own style, let him try to do things the way he wants, because you dismissed the coach Rulani who wanted to implement his own style with his own people. Then you relieve him of his duties. So now as a club you are looking like people who do not know what they want, people who cannot make bold decisions, but concerned about winning instead of how to win. Because what you want is either the Champions League or trophies, and it's not something that can happen overnight. So I think he should have got a chance, in as much as he was going off script with the club. They should have given him a chance. Maybe he could have brought the Champions League because his type of play is direct. They are looking for goals. So that is something that is needed in the Champions League for you to win, because we know when they won the Champions League, they had the lethal front three with Kama Billiard and all that. So I think it was too early for him and a bit harsh.
Mthunzi, and not to take on that one, was it too early? Was it a bit harsh? Was it a bit too harsh? And given the fact that the run of results has been impressive recently, results, not performances, I want to mention that part. Performance-wise, they didn't look in control. They didn't look like a team that we've seen dominate in the past 10 years in South African football. But in terms of results, they've been getting the results. So instead of play, we can say it was working.
Yeah, man. Like we did speak about the whole situation of Rulani Mokwena. I think Mike is mentioning a very good point there that it's gonna come in a very harsh way to Coach Manqoba Mnqithi, because like if you give him the opportunity to lead the team, and he does well in the recent games, and since the season started, I believe that Mamelodi Sundowns have been doing well regardless of the transition that they have made, moving away from Coach Rulani, who has instilled a very beautiful style of play, a very attacking football. But they were starting to get there as a team. I think they were gelling. The combinations were getting there as well. It's just that at some point they were unfortunate with some of the injuries to like the likes of Tembazwane, Abu Matthews. But I do believe that it was a bit too harsh as well. I do feel like that because I even feel like Mamelodi Sundowns board in the last 1 or 2 years, I would say that they've been making bold decisions. The ones I would think even maybe from the past they wouldn't make. I think they have been harsh. They have been very straight about their business, and I do believe that even themselves maybe they are confused, but they know better. They know the club very very well. They know what they want. But if you're saying you're gonna select a coach based on the performances and the results, when we have played, I think Mamelodi Sundowns they have played I think 22 games in all competitions and with 4 defeats. It's not that bad, but then for a club like Mamelodi Sundowns, they do believe that they can do better and they wanna win everything they participate in. So it's gonna be interesting for the new coach whether he's gonna do that. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't think he has the magic of just turning things around. So will they sack him again? I'm not too sure what's going on there at Mamelodi Sundowns board, because I was even confused when they said Rulani Mukwena. So we'll have to wait and see. It's really shocking.
Really shocking indeed. When you mention it that way, but when we talk about the things that have been happening around the Mamelodi Sundowns camp, it's not surprising that much in terms of how we've seen. There were even rumors that they were in talks with Coach Benny McCarthy, but those just fizzled out. And now, with the appointment of Miguel Cardoso as their new coach, 52-year-old Portuguese manager with a 4-3 preferred formation coming into Mamelodi Sundowns, does that look like something that they would prefer in terms of like looking at the formation that he plays and plays very much attacking football? Is that something Mamelodi Sundowns can prefer in this situation?
So, Mamelodi Sundowns brought in a coach that suits the style of play that they want to, the fancy shoe shine and piano. It's something that they want to incorporate again. But hiring a new coach, how much time are you going to give him to set up his to give the players his ideas? How much time are you going to give him to prepare the team to get used to him? How much time are you going to give him to make his mark? Because when I was looking at him, he only coached 114 games, if I'm not mistaken. So where does the experience of turning around a huge club like Mamelodi Sundowns, where does it come in? Has he ever been in a situation like this before? Because remember, when we are evaluating a coach or when we are forecasting on what he might do, we look at the past of what the teams that he coached. So if you look at him, he hasn't won trophies. He hasn't coached him so many games. So to the sense that I think they only appointed him based on he's a European coach. They also appointed him based on his style of play, on his 4-3-3 style of play. So it's nothing related about what he has done in the past, but what they believe he can bring into the club. Also, the director, Flemming Berg, he's from Europe. He's from that area. He was a scout in Denmark. He was a technical director. So basically, I think they only connected the shoe shine and piano football play and what Coach Cardoso can do. Then they just arrange the two together, hoping it can be quickly transitioned. Then the team will automatically revert back to what they were doing under Coach Rulani, what they were doing under Peter Lovi and all those. Then they automatically bring back their style of play.
And then now we were talking about that, mentioning the fact that he will bring something. I want to know from you, Mtunzi, on your side, what does it bring to Mamelodi Sundowns? Like Michael did mention that no trophies that we can call the trophies that Mamelodi Sundowns want. For example, he's never won the CAF Champions League. So whatever they are bringing him for, he doesn't have it in his CV yet. So that's the question I want to know from you, Mthunzi. What does it bring to Mamelodi Sundowns that they didn't have from the previous coaches that they released in Coach Rulani and Manqoba Mnqithi?
I wanna just go back to what we were previously talking about before I can answer that. I do believe Mamelodi Sundowns, even though they are saying they wanna grow African coaches, South African coaches, and develop them as our coaches. I don't believe that they believe in South African coaches. Having said one of the most promising coaches in Roland Mokoena, and now they are saying in their statement that they are leaving Steve Kompela and Kennedy Mweni, yet they are just turning down or dismissing Coach Manqoba Mnqithi. What about his confidence? Same thing again I said about Coach Rulani. I think they said him because they don't believe he can take them that far in terms of the Club World Cup. I think I do believe they were just thinking about the Club World Cup and they were so greedy. I do believe that the new coach Cardoso, he doesn't have anything to prove on the table. What can he bring? But they believe that just because he's from Europe and he's from Portugal, he has coached Porto, he's coached Experience and many other clubs all over Europe. They believe that he can turn around the situation. But will they give him enough time to implement his style of play? Will the players get enough time to understand him? I'm not too sure. I think Mamelodi Sundowns just believe that football is just something of a miracle. You can just turn it around in 24 hours, and you will be playing against other teams that are very prepared, always prepared for you. So I do believe that the coach, yes, I don't know anything about him, but I don't want to be excited about this appointment because I do believe that they are tarnishing the confidence of South African coaches and African coaches. I do believe that they do not believe in their ability at all.
When you mention the point, it makes really very good sense because now you look back at his accolades. He's not someone who has stayed a lot in their team. Looking at Rio Ave in Portugal, only coached 42 games. In Nantes, France, only coached 8 games. You see, like it doesn't have a very good record of coaching a lot of games. You see, Celta Vigo, only 15 games. Athens, only 4 games. And then all those other teams had a second spell at Rio Ave, came back again, coached 20 games. Esperance, he coached 26 games. But you look at his win record, that's the most concerning thing for me. Except only in that spell where he spent in Esperance, where he had a 53% win record. But when you look at other teams that he's managed, you see he has a 20% win record, 25%, 20%, and his overall win record, like with 114 matches that you mentioned, Mike, he's 37.9%. So talking about what does it bring to Mamelodi Sundowns, I'm looking back at his honors and what does that tell us, Michael? Maybe you can tell me. I really don't know what he can bring to Mamelodi Sundowns with the type of history he's had in his management journey.
So I think this one is a reverse. It's reversal now. It's not what Cardoso will bring to Sundowns, but it's what Sundowns will make him, because definitely Sundowns is going to make him better. You understand? So for him, he's only bringing his coaching qualifications and his style of play, nothing else. That's the only thing that he is bringing. So I think this is Sundowns is trying to build a system around him now. based on his style of play, then they give him what he wants. Something that they didn't want to give Rulani, maybe they're going to give it to him. Like the control that Rulani wanted, the players, type of players, how training setups and all those things must be. That those are the things that they are going to give him, because they didn't basically take him, they didn't bring him to the club for him to work out his magic, but for him to be part of the system. They didn't bring him to change the system, but to be part of the system, part of the successful Mamelodi Sundowns regime. So they are taking in someone instead of him in return something. The only time we are going to evaluate him is when he win the Telkom knockout, the Nedbank, the DSTV Premiership with the club. But also, I think Sundowns, they are also trying to, I think, mimic what Orlando Pirates is doing, because they see Orlando Pirates is doing well with the European coach. Then they'll be like, oh, let's bring him without, I don't know.
And now Coach Miguel brings in his own technique, or on top of the two that remain, Manqoba, Steve Kompela and Kennedy Mweni. We see I saw in Mamelodi Sundowns' website, they are mentioning that he coached in multiple countries, European countries, Portugal, Spain, France, Greece, and they're mentioning obviously Fabio Fernandez, Pedro Azevedo, and then João Araujo as part of his own technical team. But now we're looking at that situation, and I want us to go to a chat that we wanted to have again today, Michael, on the technical setup of Mamelodi Sundowns. Are they moving away now from how they used to do things, how they used to be patient with people, how they used to build a situation, like you are saying, they are looking at Orlando Pirates and they are feeling that they are being left behind. They are feeling that there's something to change. What is there in the management style now of Mamelodi Sundowns that is different from the management style of Mamelodi Sundowns in the last 2 years? Let me say that.
Okay, so if we look at Mamelodi Sundowns technical team, Pito had a group of there were 25 people in the technical team. These 25 people, each and every one of them, they had a specific role. So when I say 25 people, gentlemen, what I'm talking about, right? I talk of Pito Moshimane as the head coach, right?
Yes.
Then we go down to his assistant coaches. So Pito had Rulani as his assistant coaches. Then assistant coaches, then it goes down to performance analysis. So out of the performance analysis, if you look at it, they had opposition analysis, they had player profiling. So opposition analysis, you just look at what the other oppositions are doing. Player profile analysis, individual players in the league and within Mamelodi Sundowns. Then they have a tactical analyst for their own team. Look at how many resources are exposed to them. They had the head of scouting, they had the scout director, and 3 different scouts that will specifically look in different leagues or what is needed at the club. The list is endless. It goes to conditioning coaches, it goes to physios, biokinetics, and some other clubs. For example, if you look at Kaizer Chiefs, the team doctor at Kaizer Chiefs right now is a consultant. Do you understand what I mean? He only come to Kaizer Chiefs when needed. But the team doctor at Mamelodi Sundowns is strictly for Mamelodi Sundowns. So which means his work is solely focused on Mamelodi Sundowns compared to Kaizer Chiefs. That is the other thing. But now they change the dynamics to the point whereby they are bringing coaches instead of role specifics. For example, there was Coach Rulani, Coach Manqoba, and Coach and Steve Kompela, right? These were the 3 coaches. They are all they coach football. They are head coach, right? Now they do not have that specialization they used to have before, whereby they can only have one head coach. Now they have 3 people in management. Everyone has his own ideas. They are not coming to a common idea whereby they want anything for the team, but each individual wants to be successful. Manqoba wants to put his ideas. Coach Rulani wants to put his ideas. Steve Kombela wants to put his ideas to the point whereby it is automatically causing friction. So I prefer the technical team with Pito, where it was stated clearly who is doing this, who is doing that. Not just giving three of the good coaches a team and say perform magic. So I think that was a mistake from them, leaving that technical team to this new approach they are using right now.
And now we see it. And we see it, they brought in a new coach with a new technical team. Again, they are moving away from the things that you are speaking about. You're mentioning very good points there. Like the amount of work that is done, it's a lot. We know it's a lot. So you really can't have people having more than one responsibility in a team. The best you can have is people sharing responsibilities. But now, if you have three heads, then it's difficult for the body to function. Hi, Michael. You are touching a very hefty point there, and it's making me very excited. And now we are seeing a situation um, where they are bringing in a new coach. Will that coach, or is the success of the coach dependent on how much resources they give him? After Michael mentioned all those resources in terms.
Yeah, man. I think the new coach, obviously, the resources are there at Mamelodi Sundowns, but then he'll have to first maybe he knows and he understands his technical team better, the one that he's coming with from to South Africa. But then what about Steve Kompela? What about Kennedy Mwini? So I'm just not too sure about their way of doing things in terms of in that regard, because you are leaving them and you are telling us you are developing South African coaches or African coaches, but then they will have to be just under the shade of this coach, and I'm not too sure if they are gonna be given a higher role in that technical team. But the sporting director, he has a lot of questions to answer for us as South African football fans or African fans who love football. Because he's made a lot of changes. He was appointed in 2022, but the changes that he has made over the last couple of years, man, they are big and massive. We're talking about someone who was ahead of who was a scout at Chelsea for 7 years, Flemming Berg. He was only a scout, and he went on to be a head of elite football development in Danish football. So yes, he has the experience of sporting talent and looking at the people he can bring into the team, because he has knowledge of how to recruit and he has that eye. But then the changes he has made over the last years, it should raise questions if the changes he has made before, were they working, if he's still gonna make so many changes. Why not give a coach a chance to prove himself? And time actually, we are not patient. I think Mamelodi Sundowns just want to win everything, and it's not gonna work like that in football. It's never gonna work like that.
You know what I'm picking up from what you're saying and what Michael said is that Mamelodi Sundowns, what they did is change a working formula. When Flemming Berg came in, he wanted to establish his own ideals and his own views of what a football club should be and how a football club should run. But now, after what you mentioned, Michael, if I can ask you now, how many technical team members are there at Sundowns currently?
So basically, at Sundowns, I think the medical team is still the same. The only thing that changed is they got rid of opposition scouts, like opposition analysis people. They got rid of assistant coaches. So to the point whereby they bring coaches like Manqoba, Steve Kombela, and all these guys. So it changed to the point whereby it's not role specific. They still have a lot of people in the technical team, but it's not clear or explained who is doing this and that, to the point whereby the job responsibilities are not described, or maybe they are not disclosed to the public. Maybe they are using Steve Kombela as a scout, maybe they are using Steve Kombela as an analyst. So the structure is not as clear as it was during that time of Pito, where there was successful scouts like Gulam Valodia, Mario Masha, and all that. So we never know what exactly is happening. It's more like a closed circle now.
So now you are saying it's not disclosed to the public, but now what we don't see is not even reflected in how the club runs to the eye of the public. Like today, I know this because obviously we've made extensive research on the topic and the situation. But now, before we could even know that Mamelodi Sundowns had that much people in the technical team, you could see it was reflected in the way that they played, in the way that they dominated South African football. It was reflected there. Now it's not reflected, and in the public, we don't know if it still exists. So it begs the question: do they still have the same management setup that took them to the heights of the CAF Champions League? Let alone the coaches. Forget the coaches. I don't think a coach can do anything without the correct support in his technical team. You see, a coach will come with tactics, will come with this, but you can't expect a coach to run drills in training. You can't expect coach to manage injured players. You can't expect a coach, like you're saying, if they're using Steve Kombela as a video analyst, then it's very wrong. Because Steve Kombela is not a video analyst. Steve Kombela is a coach. He's a great motivator. We know that. So put him in the changing room. Then he must motivate players to perform to their best. You leave other technical team members to push players to be at their level best. You leave those guys who are analyzing videos to be at their level best as well, to analyze videos and allow the team to be informed enough before they go to games. So it's a very tricky situation, and I think Flemming Berg, I think, lost it somewhere down the line. But we just have to give credit to Coach Pitso Msimane, because it was all his idea, and the identity he put in Mamelodi Sundowns is going to be very difficult for it to be diminished. And as much as they can try as hard to change things, but the identity he gave Mamelodi Sundowns is still there, and it's still going to be there. I want to know from you, Mthunzi, how much do you agree with the whole situation of Coach Pitso Msimane's identity being there and just being there in the future? Has he left a legacy for Mamelodi Sundowns to get food from in the next 10 years after his spell?
I think Coach Pitso Msimane is a legend of Mamelodi Sundowns, and I do feel like he's not that appreciated at the club. And I have to question maybe the management as a whole, because when Pitso left, they were not in good terms with the management side. With Rolani, same thing. It seems like with Manqoba, it's still the same thing too. So it doesn't have to be like that. I know when the relationship is over, yes, one will not be happy, one will be happy. But for ever since Pitso left the club, he didn't live like in good terms. They were, even now, I'm not too sure they are in good terms with the owner of Mamelodi Sundowns. So with Urulani, same thing, and now with Coach Manqoba. But I do feel like the job that he has done there at Mamelodi Sundowns will never be emulated by anyone else, and his legacy is still there. We're still seeing his style of play, and he's the one who actually started everything. I think he's a hard worker. He's a very intelligent man, and he's so intelligent, man. So I think he's a legend, but I do feel like he's not appreciated enough at the club.
Definitely. After the legacy he left, he should have a statue there, Chorkop maybe. But yeah, you're mentioning a very good point there by him leaving a legacy. And I want to know, with the new coach coming in, is he receiving a very great legacy, given the Mamelodi Sundowns brand itself? It's a very big brand. You talk about the squad that they have right now, the amount of players that they have in their team is they have three first teams in that whole setup. They have a very good and functioning academy, and the facilities there are very good. But before we talk about all that, what the coach is inheriting, I want us, Michael, to dig a little first on the squad depth of Mamelodi Sundowns. What does it give them? And then we'll move over to academies and facilities as well, and then so that we can gradually introduce the talk of the coach in a situation that we've talked about. Squad depth. What are we talking about when we're talking about a Sundown squad depth?
Sorry, I had to. Okay, so what we are moving on to now, like for example, at Mamelodi Sundowns, they have got depth. Mamelodi Sundowns is a team that has a financial muscle. Like they really do have a financial muscle, and they have a strong scouting team. So basically, what happens if they want a player, they just make a contract offer to the player, and they make an offer to the selling club, and you all know the club in South Africa.
Sorry to cut you off. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I was listening to an interview by like not even one player, but two players who left Kaizer Chiefs from Sundowns, George Libisi and what I can say Kaizer Chiefs legend, Brian Malloy, where they said Mamelodi Sundowns, Brian Malloy said Mamelodi Sundowns gave him an empty check and said, write what you want. And then George Libisi was like, they doubled what he wanted from Kaizer Chiefs. And he was willing to take something from Kaizer, but they were like, no, we're going to double whatever they're offering you. Come to us. So I just wanted to support that point. I'm remembering all that. Continue, please continue.
So that's the first thing. They have a very good scouting board, and whomever they want. Coach Rulani said the word he wants Lodge. Lodge was brought to the club. So that is the first thing that deepens their depth, right? And player rotation at Mamelodi Sundowns, they refer to themselves as hybrid people. They refer to themselves as a system team whereby they don't depend on one player to do the job for them, but they do rotate, mixing new experience, very good technical players, and very good players like Ribeiro, Allende, and others. So they have a depth. They can change anything at any given time, and the same player who was put in, either they do the job or they bring in an unexpected value to the club, which will result in winning. So first, they have the squad depth whereby anyone can do the job at any given time, right? Then this makes them a better team. Why? Because everyone is happy. Everyone know they do have a chance of showcasing their talent, which is something that is very good, right? So we spoke about they have a squad depth because they have very good scouting and they can make a contract offer to anyone at any time, right? So that is why they can attract the players, and the players are the ones that normally make the football club great. Then we move on to the type of academy that we have. So Mamelodi Sundowns academies, they have their own academy director. In as much as Flemming Berg is responsible for everything, they do have an academy that runs from the Gauteng development team under 13 up to under 19. So they run a setup whereby they have everyone in each division, and the academy participates in different tournaments like the Indian tournament that takes place here in Marks Park, whereby various scouts came and all that. So they do produce from the academy, GDL, the DDC. They do have a pool of players at their disposal, whereby if they want to send players on loan, if they want to develop someone who's coming through the ranks. But at the same time, it is also difficult for those academy players to come through to make it to the 25-man squad. Why? Because the first team is already good. So that is why you see some youth where they are chasing age, they'll end up going away. So their academy is well run from GDL under 13, even less in, but we don't have access to it to figure out what happens. And we move on to the facilities. Who doesn't want to be at Chlorocop? Who doesn't want to be at Yeah. So if we look at Chlorocop, Chlorocop is a venue. Me, I was fortunate enough. I went only once, and the areas I had access to, I only had access to where the players' lounge and the grounds. But from my own understanding, when you get to Chlorocop, there is a clear idea of the club vision. There is a clear idea of how are we going to do that. Nothing is compromised. You have everything that you need at your disposal. You have the clothes, you have the gym, you have the kitchen, you have absolutely everything. You are well taken care of to the point whereby you have no excuse. Once you get to Chlorocop, it only work. You don't have to worry of what I'm going to eat, who's going to sort my things. So Chlorocop is a facility that can allow everything to happen. They have tests for players, they have a gym session, they have physio rooms, they have doctors' offices and doctors' rooms, they have all the machinery and the gym. They have both the indoor gym and the outdoor gym. So you can tell how Chlorocop is also contributing to Mamelodi Sundowns playing well because they absolutely have everything. Sundowns has the money to pay the doctors to be there. They have the finances to buy the gym equipment. They have the finances to get everything. So Chlorocop is also that's why they feel at home when they are there. They feel comfortable because that's where everything great to Mamelodi Sundowns comes from. The sky is the limit. That's their motto, which shows they can do better because they have what they need to do at Chlorocop. So the facilities are it's something that gives them a huge advantage to them in how they perform. But I would like to pick your brain on something, guys. With there is also Naturena. Naturena is a venue that we all know it's also big. But I would like to ask you, why do you think Mamelodi Sundowns is able to capitalize at Chlorocop while these guys, the Chiefs, cannot use Naturena to be able to match Sundowns?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think that's a very good question. That's a very good question because I think, as you have said now, we would say their motto is that the sky is the limit. I think they want to be the best. They want to be the best, which is why they hire the best in the continent or in the world, actually. Because you can have the facility. Because I do believe Kaizer Chiefs is one of the biggest clubs in South Africa, and their facility is top notch, man. Is good. Everything is there, but yes, they cannot match the levels of Mamelodi Sundowns, and I do believe that it's a matter of Kaizer Chiefs not hiring the right people to work at the club and to actually match the standards of its name. I think I do believe that's the only reason. Because yes, Sundowns wants the best, and they do have the financial means to actually back that up. But I do believe that it's the personnel. It's the personnel appointing the right personnel, and that's the only difference.
And I just to add on what you are talking about, Mtunzi, making reference to Sundowns as well. Making reference to Sundowns as well. We just talked about Coach Pito leaving a great legacy in that team. He left a great, well, I can say, culture. Yes, the culture there that he left. So you have Naturena and you have Torkop, which are two great facilities, training facilities. Nothing you want. There is nothing that you want that you can't find in those facilities. But now the personnel that have made those facilities be what they are today. So you have Naturena, which has been chopping and changing coaches since for the last 10 years. Let me say, let's count from 2021. We can say since 2011, Kaizer Chiefs have multiple coaches. But you go to a team like Mamelodi Sundowns, they had two, if I'm not mistaken, two coaches in those 10 years. And I can say the 7 years that Kaizer Chiefs never won a trophy in those years. You see, so now giving Coach Pitso time to understand and work with the facility and now use it as an advantage to compared to Kaizer Chiefs, someone who's just brought in, who knows I can lose my job anytime, that I have world-class facilities, and then focuses more on what we were talking about. Then Manqoba Mnqithi was more focused on winning matches than playing great. So it's those it's very small margins, very small margins. The coach was quite dead. The recruitment of Mamelodi Sundowns and the recruitment of Kaizer Chiefs. How bad has been Kaizer Chiefs' recruitment in the last 5 years? Not 10, just 5 years. Been very bad. You look at Mamelodi Sundowns' recruitment in the last 5 years. How many Kaizer Chiefs caliber players wanted to go to Kaizer Chiefs and didn't go because Kaizer Chiefs didn't want to table a big enough contract? How many Mamelodi Sundowns caliber players that went to Mamelodi Sundowns because Mamelodi Sundowns just gave them the contract? We're talking about the likes of Tebogo Mokoena. They had big talks with Kaizer Chiefs before they went to Mamelodi Sundowns. Sipho Mbule. A lot of players from SuperSport United started with conversations between Kaizer Chiefs and their team. So it's just those small margins where you kind of look at the same situations we've been talking about: squad depth, academy, and facilities. Kaizer Chiefs have this tendency of being too much connected to academy players that are not giving the team what they need to do. So that's another situation that is dragging Kaizer Chiefs back in that regard. So I think if we look at those things, those are the little differences that we see with the Mamelodi Sundowns in terms of.
Yeah, man. I also want to add something here. As you are saying, it's just the recruitment. And if you look at Mamelodi Sundowns, firstly, starting with their sporting director. Yes, they were doing great as a team with Upito before and the sporting director at the time. But then 2022, they brought in Flemming Berg. They wanted to change the mentality that now we're going big. We're going to appoint someone who has worked at Chelsea, who has worked at the Danish football, and we're going to appoint someone who has a lot of experience, and who knows how to do this to do this job. So looking at the Kaizer Chiefs side, they've been chopping and changing the sporting directors, and now currently they have Kaizer Jr., which I believe doesn't have that much experience in terms of that role. So with Flemming Berg, he brought in the likes of Lucas Ribeiro, and we all know that Ribeiro is one of the top guys here in South Africa. He's so special in terms of the talent that he possesses. So that is the main difference. Appointing Flemming Berg, who's gonna go out and have scouts, proper scouts, who are gonna run all over the world to bring in quality players, top quality players. So yes, the facilities, maybe one might say Kaizer Chiefs facilities is better, but then the personnel that are running the clubs are totally different in terms of the knowledge they have, the potential, the ability, and the skill set. So they are totally different in terms of that regard.
And now you posed a very good question, Michael. And now I want to pose a question of my own to you. Is Coach Miguel well, I'm looking at term here. Hey, English sometimes runs away. Is Coach Miguel inheriting a great legacy there at Mamelodi Sundowns with what we talked about, the squad depth, the academy, the facilities. You talk about squad depth, and you mention the likes of players they would inherit, the likes of in that fullback position. You have players like Mutau, Mutiba, and that young man who is number 31. Just his name just ran away right now. But yeah, and then on centre back you have all those big names. Unfortunately, Mvala got an injury in that Cape game, but you have all those other big names. And one of the most interesting players in South African football currently, a young player in Khoza, is inheriting all that in that midfield. It's so packed. Some players have even forgotten that they play for Mamelodi Sundowns. You have the likes of Chapelo Masego, who hasn't seen game time this season. And he's a very, very good player who was recognized by CAF last year when they played the Super League. You have players like Lucas Ribeiro, the undroppables. You have on striker. You have reins, Salez, Peter Shalulile. He's inheriting all that. You talk about the academy, the freedom he has to bring up more talent. We can see it with the current talent that is there. The likes of you can see it with the talent that has came from that Mamelodi Sundowns development, and I think it's the best that has been produced by South African football. You talk about the likes of Pesitao, Kick and Dolly, players that went on to win the CAF Champions League, the likes of Chambers-Wane. You're talking about Obomoteka Matisha, all those other players. Yes, Pelele Mkhulisi hasn't grown to his boots, but you're talking about all these other players, and you look at the coach and see he has everything to his disposal. You're talking about the facilities. There's nothing you can't find there. You can't go hungry. If you want to be a scorer, you can be a scorer. If you want to slim down, you want to slim down. You understand? Everything is there. All the training appliances are there. Facilities in terms of gym, pitches, there's more than one pitch, more than two pitches. You understand? There's all those things that we talked about. Now you bring in a coach. Is he inheriting a legacy? Does he have an excuse to fail or to underperform with inheriting a legacy as big as this one?
So I think as a coach, the first thing that he needs to do, right? So remember, for you to be successful, not for you only, but for the club to be successful, everything has to work in sync. I don't know if you get me there. Like, everything has to work like one chain.
Yes.
So the first thing that he must do, the first question that he has to ask himself, how can I get the best out of each and every player that is here? You understand what I'm saying? So that is his homework for the first time. He needs to look at his system. So what he does is he look at his 4-3-3 system. How best can he play the 4-3-3? I understand Sundowns is a more than 25-man squad. Then he knows in his 4-3-3 system, this is the type of play that I want. If I want to play ball possession, which means I have to incorporate more technical, gifted players in the team, players who can hold the ball, who can pass it, who can do things faster than expected. So that is the first thing that he needs to do. He needs to find the right players for his system. Then the second thing, he needs to know, like, what is the time frame that he has at the club, because they need to be there. He has to be clear communication. Like, if you want me to win the Champions League, like this season, next season, he has to analyze it on his own. With my system, with the type of players I have, with the resources at my disposal, how to make the most out of it. So he has everything he needs, but having everything you need is not a guarantee for success. Knowing how to use what you have is what guarantees success. So he must know how to allocate his resources, how to make use of whatever he is getting in the club. And then he will, I won't say you will win the Champions League. He might not win the Champions League, he might not win the league, but at least he must guarantee world-class performances. Like, game in, game out, you are performing. So that is what he needs to do only.
Definitely, and that brings us to the end of our show. Unfortunately, it was still nice. I wish we could just continue and talk about this whole situation, because it's a very interesting situation, and it must not be taken lightly. Mamelodi Sundowns is the biggest team, and in terms of how good of football they played in the recent years in South Africa, how dominant they have been, it's the biggest. So it's an honor and pleasure to be able to sit here and talk about Mamelodi Sundowns as a South African team, the first team to produce a player who's playing in Africa and who goes on to be nominated for the best team in the world, who goes on to be nominated for the best goalkeeper in the world. So it just proves that Mamelodi Sundowns is a big organization that has proven itself and propelled itself to these heights. But before we close everything off, Mtunzi, you will take us home. You will close off as you see fit, brother.
Yeah, but before I let you guys go, both of you, with the amount of success that Sundowns has had over the last years, what do you think was the key factor, or was the key factor to this from other teams just falling off in terms of how they manage their clubs and recruitment processes in their clubs, or it's just a matter of Sundowns taking over with their financial means and actually performing on the field? What has been the key factor in them dominating ever since Pito Musimane era? Is it because of the other clubs? Other clubs are failing to compete with Mamelodi Sundowns in terms of the financial means, or it's just Mamelodi Sundowns appointing them? It's been key to this winning formula.
Michael, I will give you a crack on this one, but I just want to make a point here. What has been the key to success, especially in the Pito Musimane era? Michael, we will explain all the other technical parts, but I'm speaking on a fan's point of view. George Maluleka is the example. They had pitch of the Kaizer Chiefs team that almost beat Mamelodi Sundowns. They had pitch of that Orlando Pirates that almost beat Mamelodi Sundowns to the cup as well when they took Manyisa from Orlando Pirates. So yeah, I think they just knew how to destabilize other teams, and they knew which players to buy so that the other teams can can perform a little bit less than what they are doing. And ngesizulu sithi ukushaya inyoni ezimbili ngetshe lodwa, and it just means hitting two birds with one stone, Michael. You are bringing in a player that is going to add value to your own team, and you are removing value from your competitors. It's just best, man. That's what happens when you have an opposition analyst and a team analyst. Check it over, Michael.
So I think what made Mamelodi Sundowns is their financial muscle. They can afford to sign players. They can afford to pay a huge technical team. They can afford to pay people with expertise and knowledge, and they have strong facilities. Then they can use all these effectively. And the power of our CAF, the fact that Patrice Motsepe made it through to CAF president, it shows you how strong his leadership was at the club. So those are the things that I can. Patrice Motsepe as a chairman, allocate the resources they have and the expertise and knowledge, the type of players they have. I think that's the short answer of why Mamelodi Sundowns had competition over the other teams.
Oh yeah. Then I'm satisfied, James. I'm satisfied. Well, that will bring us to the end of this wonderful conversation, James. It has been great. Hey, thank you so much to Michael for breaking down everything in terms of the new coach being appointed and how actually Mamelodi Sundowns is dealing with everything in terms of how they go about with their business. And my friend, yes, Samgelo Nyati, take it to you, man. Take us home.
I'm giving you an opportunity to thank the people here, and you are bringing it back to people who love me more than you. But yeah, that's just a joke, man. Thank you very much to you, gentlemen, wonderful gentlemen. Thank you very much to everyone who watched the show. Thank you for supporting us. Continue to do so. Share this video with your friends, especially Mamelodi Sundowns supporters. You need to watch this, and then yeah, send it to other Mamelodi Sundowns supporters to enjoy as well. But with that said, thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.